cheeseburgers, mushroom burgers,
Put lots of extra onions.
and chili burgers.
It's a double-decker.
All served up at Milt's Diner by 36-year-old Danelle Belangi.
There you go. Got your sandwich coming up.
Danelle loves working at her diner, especially because 1 year ago, she was in a much different place.
Come on, Ted. Ooh, oh, good dog.
Last December, Danelle decided to take her dog Taz for an 8-mile jog.
Kind of a relaxing, enjoyable run.
She only planned to be gone for 2 hours.
This was a loop I had done probably 4 or 5 times before, so I knew the loop pretty well.
But 4 miles into the jog, Danelle slipped.
And I hit some ice, some black ice that I didn't see, and immediately went into a slide. I was falling.
And fell 60 feet down a cliff.
And my life had spun through my head as I was falling.
Then Danelle hit bottom.
So the first thought when I landed was, phew, I'm alive. And I could feel my legs. And I thought, phew, I'm not paralyzed. It's going to be okay. And I tried to stand up to walk out of there, and I couldn't stand up.
Danelle completely shattered her pelvis, had internal bleeding, but still tried to crawl out of the canyon.
I was able to drag myself. It took me about 5 hours to this spot right here.
Danelle stopped at this puddle so she could drink the muddy water. By now, it was dark and cold, with temperatures dropping into the 20s.
I couldn't move around my midsection, but I could move like this. And I just kept doing sit-ups like this, and then I tapped my feet like this and just did crunches.
All night, Danelle stayed awake, afraid to die of hypothermia. She waited and waited for morning to arrive. When it finally did, her plans of crawling out of the canyon were quickly shattered.
Even just the slightest movement, it would just send pain just all the way through my body. I would just scream in that canyon. You'd hear it echo around the canyon, and I would get myself ready, and then I would try to move, and it was just defeating because I couldn't. I physically couldn't.
She felt she had no choice but to stay exactly where she spent the night before. The day passed, darkness set in, and again, Danelle tried to think of ways to stay alive through another frigid night.
The second night, I thought, gosh, nobody's going to notice I'm gone. That's when I really started thinking I might not make it.
Turns out someone did notice.
Well, I'm kind of a nosy neighbor.
Danelle's friend, Dorothy Rosignol.
I am so grateful that I was nosy.
Dorothy called Danelle's parents, who called police. Help was on the way, but Danelle had already been out in the cold for more than 40 hours. She had lost 1/3 of her blood, she couldn't move, was dehydrated, and desperate.
And on that morning, after the second night, that's when I said to Taz, hey, Taz, can you go get some help? And of course, he's a dog. I didn't expect him to understand what I said. But I remember he looked straight at me, and he turned his head to one side. He turned his head to the other side, and then he just took off running down the canyon.
Taz soon found Bego Gerhardt searching for Danelle on an ATV.
Taz came running up the road behind us, looked at me, I looked at him, and he just went.
Bego was convinced the dog would lead him to Danelle.
I was totally excited because I knew I had her.
But Danelle didn't know it.
Right before Taz got there, that was the lowest point ever in my life, where I thought, nobody knows where I am, nobody's gonna find me, and I'm dying.
By the time Taz returned, Danelle was giving up.
I thought, gosh, I hope somebody takes good care of Taz, you know, because I knew that I wasn't ever gonna be there for him again. And still can't think about it.
Then she heard an ATV.
After a while, I hear this scream over the noise of the ATV. It was desperate. It was, don't leave me.
Then it was tears of joy, like, hey, I'm gonna make it.
Within minutes, Bego found Danelle. She survived. A year later, after multiple surgeries, Danelle is not only out of her wheelchair, she's running a diner. And she's not doing it alone.
Okay, coming right up.
Danelle now has a boyfriend.
We just kept hanging out, and now we make hamburgers together.
And every Thursday, Danelle says her 76-year-old angel stops by to check in on her.
But I told her, I says, from now on, if you even go out after the mail, you tell me where you're going.
Danelle is grateful to Dorothy, Bego, and Taz, who all helped save her life. A life Danelle now shares with everyone who walks in her diner.